say, so just for context, so I'm in the second program. So we're a couple weeks out from finishing. We have one more assessment to go. I'm in eLevate 2. And I would say, candidly, Lesley knows I wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit. So, but what I will say is this was probably one of the best things I've done for myself, both personally and professionally. So by way of background, I've only been an instructor I shouldn't say I have been an instructor for about 4.5 years now. I used to love practicing Pilates on my own. I discovered it about 16 years ago. And then I'm an open book on this, but Pilates for me is what I healed my body, mind, and spirit after aggressive stage 3 breast cancer. And so I took a little bit of a pause as a client. And when I used the method to re-heal, I decided I wanted to become an instructor. There was something about what my instructors did for me to hold a space. I got really curious. And that curiosity led me to go down a contemporary training path, which I loved. And I felt great in it. But I think for me, I've always been a really curious person about how things feel in the body. And I'm a visual learner, so I will notice something looks like something else. And I realized I felt there was a gap, that there was a gap of knowledge that I was missing, because the contemporary program, while amazing, it didn't hinge as much on the control to life. So a little bit what Lisa was saying, I just felt some of those components of that classical method of why the importance of Pilates being that continuous exercise, one movement, it's a constant flow, really struck me. And honestly, as an instructor, my confidence has skyrocketed. I've gotten more comfortable trusting my gut. So very much what Lisa was saying, I will look at a client, and it has allowed my clients to be less perfect as well, and to explore movement in their body and get more comfortable with curiosity, and starting to link spine shapes together. Doing elephant, they might say, oh, it's like my upside down 100. People are starting to link things. And I'm really just finding the connecting the why behind the what has been so important. And I'm just more comfortable teaching. And I'm not very polished right now. I'm kind of rambling, but for me, it was kind of about time that I took a investment in myself, because I love this methodology so much. And I've seen how it has really helped people heal their body. And I really wanted to do for others what others did for me. And I'm so grateful that Lesley created this space for people to explore in a safe way with your 12 partners, so to speak, the Brady Bunch squares on your weekends. And it really has been so rewarding to see how all of us have grown as instructors, as people, and just the confidence, really. So I'm rambling. I don't have my thoughts together. But anyways,
Well,
I'm
can
really
you
glad I
talk a
took the
little bit more
investment in
about the
myself.
community side of it? Because I know
Yeah,
that
I
was
think the
something that was
community,
particularly exciting for you.
what's in, I think what's important about the community is Lesley kind of hit on this at the beginning, right? I think at some points in this industry, there can be um, lack of community, for lack of a better phrase. And I think this was the first time I really experienced a space where there was utmost respect and comfort for recognizing that we all had a different education or a different training program, different experience, but we're able to safely explore not being perfect with each other. So it's one thing to be really vulnerable. It's another thing to be really vulnerable with people you're just meeting, but having a space where those people, there's no judgment. Like just the people that you meet, I just was kind of blown away that there's the human kindness, the element of people holding space for recognizing, oh, you're contemporary, oh, you're classical, how can we all help each other? There was an element of people always wanting to help each other. And my partner and I talk like 3-4 times a week. We still, we get together to move, we get together to practice, we just get together to talk. Joanne, who's on there, is a dear friend. Like, just the sense of community has been amazing. And I'm really grateful that you created the program, but that you've created us to learn at the way we learn best. And I know some of us were chomping at the bit to have information or want to do it right now. We want to be perfect, perfect, perfect. It really has evolved the way it needs to. I think the 9 to 10 months, it just makes sense. Now that I'm at the end of it, I'm like, holy shit, she was right. Excuse my swearing.
I
I
know I
loved
had
it.
to make it it's like a baby birthing situation. Not that I've done that or anything, but the 9-10 months. I was like, well, that's how long it takes a baby to be made. So, like here we um, Heather, I really thank you for being here. I we had our last call yesterday, and I was talking with you guys about like your questions have like changed. And one of the things that I have really loved is like, because everybody learns a little differently. Some people, I'm not someone who'll ask a question first. Like I'm someone who like I've been actually making myself be a question asker and like take up space, but I was never that even in my own program. And something that I love is that you'll just ask the questions. And like it really gave so many people, like the people who be like me who don't want to ask the question, like, oh, and it gave them permission to ask questions. And also you do wear your heart on your sleeve, which allowed so many people. And so what I do love about having 12 people in a group is that like there's every kind of personality type is in there. And it allows us to really learn how to teach all these different types of personalities, but in a safe place where everyone wants to learn. And so thank you for trusting me, for being part of it. I'm sure Brad has one more question for you because I can see him in the background with his wheels turning.
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, I think just seeing your enthusiasm, I'm y'all, I'm not really super involved in the program other than I get to see it from the side, right? Just like this right now. And it's so, and then I get the commentary of like after the calls and she and I talk about things, and it's just always fun for me. She's now done we're almost through 3 different rounds of it now. So like almost 40 people. And to hear like after the first weekend workshops and hear the commentary, and then the second weekend workshops, and then in the middle, and there's like there's struggle and there's inner turmoil and there's like there's conflict resolution, let's people working together and figuring things out, and like I can't make this time work, and and then finding a path through is just that community and meeting the people is as much a part of the actual Pilates, I think, in elevating your teaching. And it's been fun to see that happening for everybody who's gone through. And I know Heather, particularly for you too, to like just seeing your personal shift from the confidence specifically, and when you were when you first came in, I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about that, why you joined the program from a confidence perspective, and you mentioned it already, but like how that actually shifted during the program.
Yeah, I think specifically it was I was hired at a studio to be myself. They knew I was contemporary, but the studio I was working in was primarily more classical. And I started realizing, I don't know, my self-confidence. I was like, God, I don't know that. How come I didn't learn that? I didn't realize all these things. So the program intrigued me when I saw the wait list, signed up, saw the application, read through the application, and I thought, all right, I'll throw in my stuff, but I'm not classical, so I wasn't quite sure it would fit. And then halfway through, I was like, oh, now I understand why there's an order. Now I understand, like things just started falling into place. So I think for me, it just put the puzzle together. So
Mm.
I had learned a lot of these building blocks. I had just learned them in a different way. And all of a sudden it was like putting the alphabet back together. Like you have a deck of cards, you're putting it in order. All of a sudden I was like, oh my God, now I get it. Once I got it and took less pressure on me to think, well, I have to memorize it all now, I viewed it as this is another card in my toolkit. I work with clients of all different ages and abilities. And what I really loved halfway through was I started realizing I was relying on certain cards that maybe didn't really make sense for that body because I was nervous or I didn't know. And I didn't give
Mm.
myself permission to not be perfect. And now, what I absolutely love more than anything is not only my confidence, but how my clients have grown, their sense of curiosity and ability to want to try things. I'm more comfortable just saying, we're going to try something, just so they know that like there's zero expectation that this may or may not, the pedal may or may not lift. I don't necessarily say it, but I'm like, we're just going to try something. Just follow me. I think that element I didn't have at the beginning of the program. So now halfway through and towards the
Cool.
end, I just kind of feel more comfortable to be like, I know this client, I've been working with them 2 years. Stop being nervous about it has to be this order, it has to be this thing. It has just allowed me more freedom to truly talk less, teach more, observe, and exactly what Lisa was saying. I've had those moments of, could you just breathe a little deeper and let's just, and I can't figure out why I'm seeing it, but there's just something because my own self practice increased. I hated Matt. I love Matt now because I get it and I understand why the apparatus, like I get it now. I just get it. I hated Matt because Matt's difficult and my clients
It's
hated
so
Matt.
hard.
I
I'm
love
dancing. I'm
it.
like dancing because I'm like, "Oh, I love that." I also just want to say you had a big success this week on your back bends with the ladder barrel
Yes.
because because of your surgeries and everything. Like doing back bends has not been really easy for you,
Yep.
and that's the reason why eLevate is like three things. It's your personal practice, it's your teaching, and it's the connection to the method.
Yeah.
Like all of it. It's like,
Yeah.
and I had to shout that out for you because like that's so huge. So many times we
Yeah.
think oh, I can't do that. And so we just don't. Or if we can't do something well, we don't teach it, So
Yeah. And actually the last thing I'll say, and then I obviously want other people to jump in here, is that just hit the nail on the head. So for anyone who's thinking about, well, I've been through a program or I know this method, I know that method. I never taught advanced exercises because personally I couldn't do them. And so if I couldn't do them, I didn't think I was qualified to teach them. And I have to say, this program made me stop thinking about exercises as beginner, intermediate, advanced. It allowed me to think about, is that exercise actually appropriate for that body at this point in time? And I think the more I've thought about it that way, even for my own practice, I'm now attempting things that 2 years ago I thought will never be in my wheelhouse again. Pre getting sick, I was an advanced client. I could do all sorts of things. And then post, I'm like, yeah, I'll never be able to do that on the reform, snake or twist on the reformer again, or whatever it might be. I've just started realizing, well, it's just, is that shape or is that level ready for that body yet? I never thought I could do a back bend. I told Lesley yesterday, I've finally been doing the big back bends on the ladder barrel for the first time in my life. Like, it's just amazing. And it's great. So I just think the confidence element has been really helpful. But the most important thing for me is the clients. I got into this profession to do for others what others did for me. And I'm seeing it in the clients. And that's why I'm grateful that this program existed for me to, hone my craft, but ultimately to allow my clients to have a better future.
I was going to ask that, like, have your clients noticed the difference in your teaching?
Totally. They're like, you're not talking a lot today. And they're like, you're having me count my hundreds. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you need to focus on what you're doing. Count them out. I'm like,
That's
why do I have
awesome.
to stand there for 9 hours and count to 100? I'm like, this is just silly.
I love it.
Heather, we love
So
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.